Nick Cohen, you can't read this book, Censorship in an Age of Freedom. Step into a world where the power of words is stifled, and the ability to express oneself freely is challenged like never before. Immerse yourself in the gripping tale of Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses and the impact his book had on censorship and freedom of speech across the globe. Explore the outrageous actions taken by leaders and regimes to control and suppress dissenting voices, and understand the far-reaching consequences of their actions. Discover the fine line between free speech and self-preservation, and realize the dangerous game of self-censorship that many are forced to play, from the oppressed masses to the wealthiest elites.
Censorship and Fear Tactics. Salman Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses, sparked a fatwa by Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini, resulting in censorship and fear tactics that have silenced liberal voices from criticizing or discussing Islam. Rushdie's previous works had challenged culture and religion, but it was underestimation of Khomeini's rising power that led to the worldwide protest against the Satanic Verses. Bookshops were bombed and world leaders banned the book to avoid violence and potential loss of the Muslim vote. The use of fear tactics to silence dissenting voices and justify the murder and persecution of critical thinkers has resulted in the silencing of many people. Fear silences liberal voices. The aftermath of the backlash against Salman Rushdie's book, The Satanic Verses, saw liberal voices, who initially criticized conservative tenets of Islam, becoming silent and fearful. Robert Hughes explains in his book, Culture of Complaint, that while liberals spoke against racism and sexism in universities, they remained silent against murderous threats to free speech. This attitude seemed to blame them for the violence. Western liberals redirected criticism from radical Islam to broader issues like racism and Western religions. As a result, journalists downplayed atrocities committed by Islamists to protect themselves. Fear not only directly suppressed free speech but also led to unwritten information. While non-Western societies hold oppressive attitudes towards Christianity, Western writers and critics prefer to criticize Christianity than Islam. Perpetuating fear to maintain power. Religious and political leaders use fear and outrage to keep their population under control and maintain their authority. Inflaming followers with claims of offense, even when none exists, is a common tactic in many countries, not just Muslim ones. Persecution becomes an illusion that keeps a population continuously enraged, allowing leaders to position themselves as the savior. This tactic is used to target artists and writers whose ideas may threaten those in power. When these individuals are punished for their work, it creates a chilling effect that encourages self-censorship and silences future dissenting voices, perpetuating the cycle of fear and control. The power of wealthy censorship. In countries where a small wealthy segment controls the economy, free speech is often suppressed. With many governments owning and controlling the media, independent voices are stifled, leaving room for corruption and bribery. Those who challenge the status quo risk imprisonment or extortion, while the wealthy elite share their riches to protect themselves and suppress dissent. Oligarchs in these countries conspire with private interests to control public information, affording them enormous power to suppress any critical voices. Free speech in the workplace. The workplace does not offer the same freedom of speech laws as the rest of society. While whistleblowers are protected by the law, employees often face consequences from their employers and must self-censor to maintain job security. The 2008 recession demonstrated the dangers of self-censorship, as flaws in the banking and mortgage industry went unaddressed due to fear of speaking out. The power of libel laws in Britain. In Britain, the legal system is rigged in favor of the wealthy and powerful elites. Their libel laws enable them to use money and influence to suppress free speech, even outside of Britain. The burden of proof lies on the one making allegations, and not the accused. Thus, journalists and writers often practice self-censorship by not publishing certain articles, as they cannot afford the exorbitant costs of a potential lawsuit. The English court system is used by international oligarchs to silence journalists across the world. All they have to do is claim to have a reputation in England, which can be proven by buying property or owning a business in the country. The Internet, a game changer. The Internet has revolutionized the flow of information, making it challenging for governments and powerful media conglomerates to control what is published. The Second Iraq War, which marked the beginning of the global war on terror in 2003, was a crucial turning point that saw journalists and writers openly express contemptuous opinions of political and military leaders because Internet news outlets opened up new sources of information that governments could no longer intimidate into silence or control. It enabled activists to hail technology as a way to free society from oppressive political forces. The Internet removed physical barriers that previously limited the reach of journalists and informants, flattened the media playing field, and sparked a revolution against censorship. Although the state cannot control the Internet, it is not always the case. The illusion of free speech online. The Internet was once perceived as the gateway to freedom of voice in different parts of the world. However, this is not the case for many individuals still living under oppressive regimes. Rulers seeking control have discovered several ways to regulate opinion, including threatening, harassing their critics, seizing assets, and hijacking the Internet's infrastructure. These tactics, which happen in countries like Russia and China, have made it challenging for online writers and bloggers to differentiate themselves, making it difficult for them to convey their views.
As we venture from the fiery pages of the Satanic Verses to the seemingly boundless realm of the Internet, we come to realize that not everything is as transparent as it seems. Censorship is alive and well, fear still rules the hearts of many, and freedom of speech is threatened by those in power. While the Internet has provided unprecedented access to information and enabled the rise of diverse voices, control remains firmly in the hands of governments and the wealthy elite. In this ever-changing world, the battle for free speech continues, but whether it can truly be won remains to be seen.